Okay, looks like it's 7:01 my time. That's 19:01 for those on the 24-hour clock or so inclined. This is Eastern time, a week before we go to daylight saving time. The date is Thursday, all day. Thursday, 7 March 2024. This is Russ Jamison, instructor for LDR 490. LDR 490 is Leadership Capstone course for the University of Mount Olive. I'm sharing my screen. Hopefully you see it. It indicates the two books that are required for this course, not textbooks. These are not textbooks. You have already gotten your textbooks in previous coursework at the University of Mount Olive as prerequisites to this course. What this course does is take two common readings, in this case, the Without Reservations book by J.W. Bill Marriott Jr. and the Leadership Secrets of the Salvation Army by Watson as a common reading. We use the Socratic method for this course, which means in the Socratic method, using baseline readings, common readings, you will explore and teach yourselves the course objectives. In this case, the course objectives are essentially a reinforcement of objectives that you have already faced in other coursework. In other words, the idea here is that you'll take what you've learned in your matriculation here at University of Mount Olive, previous LDR courses, and apply them to these readings, pulling out leadership principles, traits, concepts, models, and the like that were or were not used in these two examples. You'll notice the Marriott book is a for-profit organization, and the Salvation Army is a not-for-profit organization as defined by the IRS under 501 Section C3, Section 501 C3. And that's done on purpose. In other words, these organizations show a broad range of application, yet the leadership principles and study therein remain the same. And of course, when we say a not-for-profit, that's a little bit of a misnomer, because any organization that exists in today's world has to take in more than it's spending. Otherwise, it won't exist for very long. Really, the distinction of for-profit and not-for-profit is how the profits are are utilized. In other words, in a for-profit organization, in the form of retained earnings that are then distributed back to the owners of the company, whether that's public or private. And in the case of a not-for-profit, Salvation Army, those profits are to be used in the furtherance of the organization's mission. In other words, there are no reimbursements to the owners, if you will. Okay. So with that being said, welcome to the Zoom session. These are not mandatory. These are purely for you, and your time is obviously precious. So dial in and view at your convenience is really what I ask. These are essentially a venue. Excuse me, sorry, a long day here. I apologize for that. I'm going to take a drink here real fast. This is just some tea. Anyway, so this is your time, an opportunity for you to hear what I have to say in kind of an office type of format, office hours format. I don't have a regular office for you to come visit, as I'm an adjunct instructor. We don't have or maintain offices at the University of Mount Olive campus. We're located off campus. And of course, since this is a non-traditional online course, even more so. With that said, we want to give you every opportunity to succeed. Again, my job is to get you through this get you through LDR 490. You have to do the work, obviously, but I'm here to get you through it. Okay, so this is your time, and I see that there's nobody has signed on yet. I will go ahead and just continue to talk for at least this session. And if nobody dials in, again, that's fine. I post these to Moodle. I post recordings of these Zoom sessions, Moodle, and to YouTube that you may view at a later time at your convenience in case there's something I cover that may be of interest. Tonight, since this is week one, there's not much for me to cover outside of the fact that I've gone ahead and looked at your initial discussion forum postings. We'll talk about that. I'll go ahead and cover what is to happen. In other words, what you have coming up as an assignment for Saturday, due Saturday night, close of business. You'll notice that most of the times for when things are due is 23:59 on a particular evening, 11:59 p.m. if you're so inclined, to a 12-hour clock. That's done on purpose. It used to be that originally when I was teaching, I would say midnight. So your work is due midnight, as an example, on Friday night. Um, the problem is people are getting confused as to whether that midnight going into Friday, meaning Thursday night, or if that meant midnight Friday night going into Saturday. So in order to alleviate any confusion and to make it a little bit cleaner, it's 11:59 on the day that I so indicate. So it looks like most of you are able to hit those timelines. There was a couple of you that did not. One of you contacted me, which I appreciate. One of you did not, which causes me to have to speculate. As you see from the University of Mount Olive in the policy, if you look on the right-hand side of the Moodle page, and let me move my screen a little bit. If it doesn't show, you'll see a right or left leaning arrow. If you hover over that, it says open block drawer, open that drawer. You get the calendar, meet your professor. Scroll down to meet your professor, you'll see UMO policy, University of Mount Olive policy is there are no makeups, grade improvement projects, extra credit, or curving of grades in this course. Late work will not be accepted. Okay. Again, this is University of Mount Olive policy. And so you must get your work in on time for it to count. And then finally, the decision round or not round course grades is by discretion. Typically, I do not round, but if we get a little close, I'll take a hard look at it. Having said that, as I continue on, I guess I didn't have it here. All right. So if we continue on with, my policy, the dean has authorized us, the adjunct faculty, to adopt a little more of a measure of grace, if you will, on the late policy. In other words, if there are extenuating circumstances, if there are reasons why you're late that were unavoidable or you could not avoid, what we would call exigencies, then we're allowed to make accommodations as such. In other words, say, for example, you were hospitalized or you were facing a death in the family or you were under a military deployment. There was severe weather, a hurricane came through, knocked power out, things that you would have had done the work had not this event happened. Then communicate that with me. We'll talk through it, and then I will work with you. In other words, accept late work in those type of cases without penalty. All right, I see I need to do something real fast. I'm going to put you on pause just for a second. and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry for that short pause. I had to take care of another matter that popped up in front of me. All right, so as we go through the course, and you can see again here on Moodle, it's laid out to you as such. There is, of course, the textbooks, dates of the course. We started Monday, the 4th of March. Obviously, this past Monday. We're in week 1. We will continue until Wednesday, the 24th of April. So this will be a 7.4 week course. You've had a couple to date. In the summer, we will evidently go back to a 6-week format for the summer session, evidently. So these have been changing around, and I just ask your flexibility and just work with it. Just be cognizant of it as you go from course to course, because it does change. When I first started teaching the year Mount Olive, and that's been almost 10 years ago, and up to about COVID timeframe, we were on a 5-week schedule. In other words, doing this course in 5 weeks. Very challenging. Okay, same amount of reading, same amount of work. That's due under the 7.4. So it's doable, but it is a challenge, and one where you learn you can't waste any time. Okay, announcement section. If you go into the announcement section, I ask that you check that every time that you log into Moodle. This brings you to a forum type of layout where I post information, where I posted the syllabus, books, of course, letting you know that these books are a little tough to find. So I have a limited number of books available and for loan that if you need them, I ask that you write me your email, or not email, your mailing address, personal message, or otherwise email that to me. Don't give it to me here over the this forum, because it's going to get published. But let me know your address, and I will put them in the mail to you. I will send them to you on a loan basis. I had one of your fellow students ask, and those went out yesterday. That student will receive them probably tomorrow, as we're here in the state of North Carolina, so didn't have very long to travel. And I will enclose a self-addressed stamped envelope for you, because I'm going to ask that you mail those back to me once we're done with the course, so that I've got them for the next course. There's going to be probably 1 or 2 more of these before the academic year is done. And then this particular course will probably go away, or certainly get revamped because of the book issue. All right. I also post the assignment instructions for the coming week. You'll notice today I posted the week 2 assignment instructions. These follow a standard format. You'll see how I lay them out. I give you all the information. I give probably more information than you need on a weekly assignment. Notice, as an example, I conduct these office hour Zoom sessions on Thursdays. I say 40-minute. It runs about that. If there's fellow students, if you attend, if nobody attends, I usually will cut it at about the 30-minute mark, again, because I don't want to waste time. Talk about the course as a whole, basic synopsis, and what we're trying to accomplish here. Again, we're building on the various leadership concepts, ways, principles, models, through coursework that you've already had, starting with the LDR 300 Leadership Foundational course, LDR 340, which is Case Studies in Leadership, one of my personal favorites, LDR 360, which is Innovation, LDR 400, which is Effective Conflict Resolution, LD 440, Leading Change, and then LDR 460, Creating Effective Teamwork. So all those are going to be synthesized, and I want you to reflect on them, expand on what your knowledge was in this particular course. I want you to be able to apply those concepts, ways, principles, models, and using a case study method approach in a Socratic seminar fashion. What is a Socratic method? And I put it here and explain it. But again, it's a method to understand information by creating a dialogue based on a specific text. In other words, you, the participants, the students, if you will get deeper and seek deeper understanding of the complex ideas through thoughtful dialogue rather than just memorizing bits of information or meeting arbitrary demands for finding the information. In other words, don't treat these questions like a scavenger hunt in which to go find the answer, but more as a thought-provoking question upon which I want you to formulate your response. I want to hear what you have to say. Now, by all means, certainly I want you to refer to a known leadership concept, principle, trait, model, something you've already learned. Okay, so I want you to reference, for example, path goal theory or Maslow's hierarchy needs or Herzberg's two-factor theory or the similar like, what is innovation? Uh, what is effective teamwork in those things? And then expand based on what you have learned. Okay, and that's the idea is, again, we take a known start point, we explore it through discussion. Okay, and then for week 2, you're to read chapter 2 of Watson's book and then chapters 3 and 4 of Marriott's book. And your discussion question is I want you to choose a concept that you learned from each of the companies that you found interesting, what value you see in it, and why it's important to you. Okay, and then additionally, I want you to explain to how you would use it in the role of leader. So you may think a particular concept was, again, path goal theory, and then show me how Watson or Marriott demonstrated that in the readings, and then tell me what you found value in it, why it's important, and how you'll use it. Okay, all right. So after that, you post your response, and then we want you to post that response, obviously, on Wednesday evening, and individually comment on other learners' posts too, at a minimum. You may certainly do it for everybody. I would certainly encourage that. But at a minimum, I want you to do at least 2 and have that done by 23:59. I got a mistake here. It says 11:49. Should say 11:59, Friday on 15 March 2024. All right. From there, you have a weekly assignment. In this particular case, individually, you will answer this and post. This is not for course-wide discussion. It's just between you and me. Consider it a homework assignment, if you will. This, for week 2 assignment, is what risks do each company take in the beginning? Okay, and what you talk through risk. You've had that. You've had coursework on risk. Okay, so let's explore it. And those weekly assignments are due on Saturday evenings, again, 23:59. In this case, it's the second week. This particular question on risk is due the 16th of March at 23:59, and lays out how to do that. All right, and then starting in week 2, you have your research paper due. Actually, specifically a chapter of it. Okay, if you notice, your final paper for this course is 50% of your final grade. I've learned that it could be a nasty surprise for some students if I didn't give you at least some feedback on how you write and how you submit for that final paper once the last day of the course rolls around, the final paper is due. In other words, there wasn't much time to fix a mistake or a misunderstanding. So what I want you to do is, starting week 2, submit 1 chapter of your paper each week. Think of this as like a chapter in a textbook. Okay, that chapter will cover a certain facet of leadership that was of major interest to you, that you saw read demonstrated in the Salvation Army and Marriott books. So that chapter for week 2 might say be on mission statement, or it might be on motivation, or it may be on risk. Okay, in other words, you could certainly take the weekly assignment question topic and turn that into a full-up chapter. Now, each chapter is going to be a little bit more than what you turned into the weekly assignment, but not substantially. And remember, these chapters are to stand alone, so to speak. And then at the end of the course, you'll assemble 5 chapters that you will have written into your final paper. In other words, all you'll have to do is consolidate the 5 chapters that you wrote, add an overall paper's introduction paragraph and a overall concluding paragraph, and submit that as your final paper. Okay. Now, I can't grade the chapters and then grade your final paper. That's grading work twice. So I will give you feedback. What I'll do is I will provide feedback on your chapters in the form of what I see, whether or not you have hit the assignment, whether or not you proofread your paper. Okay, don't forget, just because you spell check it doesn't mean Microsoft has caught all the errors. Sometimes it does not. Same thing with Grammarly, and so make sure that you proofread and have a viable product. And I will let you know that continued work of that which you've submitted could result in a level paper or a B level paper, or it's a failing paper. Okay, so I will give you feedback. Just understand that I won't actually grade these chapters. In fact, I should not, because I will grade your final paper. Each of the chapters is due on a Sunday. So the first chapter, again, due in week 2, is due on 17 March, which is a Sunday, 23:59. Each subsequent chapter is due no later than 23:59 on Sundays, up until obviously the 5th chapter is submitted. And then that final week, you will have consolidated your chapters. Excuse me. And put an introduction and a concluding paragraph on that paper to be submitted for grading in Moodle on Sunday, the 21st of April, which is the Sunday leading into the 0.4 week. Okay, so that gives me a couple days to grade your papers, and then post your final grades, which are usually due to be posted by Thursday, which is the day after the final day of the course. Okay, speaking of these papers, I will talk more about them, and I will send you out a rubric, obviously, of them. But I read your papers 3 times normally, okay? I'll read the paper to get the overall feel that you've met the requirements. In other words, you've answered the questions I wanted you to cover. I will read it a second time, looking hard at things like mechanics, grammar, spelling. Now, I am not an English major. This is not an English literature class. However, I want you to generally follow the rules of English and APA formatting. And, excuse me, ultimately, I'll read that paper a third time to get an overall feel again for it and how it's measured up across the board. So in other words, you put time in the paper, I'll put time in the paper. Okay. Like I said, I'll read them 3 times. Can't wait to read what you come up with. Okay. All right. Week 1, real fast. You, again, there's that admonition that I'd like you get into the announcements for the assignment instructions. We talk through what to do. You were to read Introduction, the first 2 chapters of the Marriott book, Introduction and Chapter 1 of the Salvation Army book. Discussion forum, we wanted you to take a look at timeline for each organization. You were able to do that on a simple internet search. Didn't require you to read the books because some of you are still trying to get them. But we kind of missed this a little bit. Some of you did it right and you did great. Some of you didn't quite pick up on, again, I want you to put in there not just the timeline, but why you picked that particular item. And again, 3 to 5 major events. And from a leadership perspective, talk about the importance. In other words, so if you told me that the Salvation Army was started on a certain date with a certain mission statement, then tell me why that's important from a leadership perspective. In other words, talk to me about mission statements or vision of the creator. Okay. And again, most of you did pretty decent on this. I tend to grade easy the first week as we get to know each other. And then I'll start tightening that down. Okay, written assignment on Saturday that's due is I want you to analyze the mission and mission statements of both organizations. Okay, don't just, obviously tell me what those are. Okay, tell me what the mission statements are for both organizations. And then analyze them. In other words, talk to me about them. What do you know about mission statements? What did you learn in LDR 300 as what a mission statement should contain and why that's important to an organization? Okay. And there I've got a typo already. In March, I capitalized the A in March, so sorry about that. Okay, and that's it. So, you've got some easy work here. You don't have quizzes every week. You answer a couple, 1 or 2 discussion forum questions, and then you write or assignment, and then starting week 2, you start working on your final paper 1 chapter at a time. So there's not a whole lot for me to grade here. Okay, 25% of your grade is how you do on the forums and whether you provide feedback, comments to at least 2 of your fellow students. 25% is these weekly assignments that are due on Saturday. And then your final paper, which is a full up 50% of your grade. Okay, at each module or each tile for each week, you'll see PowerPoint week 1. These PowerPoint slides, for example, for this course, is the slides that I used to show for the seated class. I've readjusted that a little because I haven't taught a seated class in a while. I think the last one was probably the 5-week session. But I cover the chapters and these haven't changed. So you may find these of interest. These did not come off of a publisher's website. These are my own, but they're provided to you for your convenience to maybe illuminate some issues, highlight some things that we were talking about or maybe talking about, or at least give you the benefit of some of the things that I've observed. Okay. Just so you know, I used to, when I taught this class, used to include some readings from a tremendous leadership book that's since out of print. It was printed and used in the 80s. It was called Leadership Secrets of Attila the Hun. Tremendous book. It seems a little bit crazy to be given a leadership book by Attila the Hun. But if you read the book, you'll see what I'm getting at. It's if you happen across it, I highly recommend you pick it up. It's an easy read. It highlights certain principles by chapter, and then it breaks those highlights into bullet comments. So it's just An interesting way of approaching the concept of leadership, and an interesting way of using that case study to demonstrate same. So I really recommend that to you. Okay, and then sources for the books. Again, these are they're not available in the bookstore. I try to give some to the bookstore, but uh, I just couldn't get past the bureaucratic morass that limits, I guess, all bookstores these days. It used to be they were independently run. Now Barnes and Noble runs most of all of them. It sets specific rules on where the books can come from and how. But you can find these off of Amazon or used bookstore sites like A Libris or the like. But again, if you're really having an issue, let me know. Again, give me your address by PM or by email, and I can send you the readings uh, on a loan basis. Okay. All right. Well, it's 7:32. I've gone on long enough. I'm going to go ahead and end this one. Nobody joined. Again, that's okay. I post these. And again, if you go into Student Lounge and you go down past the forums, past the Zoom session information, which is where you would have found the link for tonight, and go into weekly office hours Zoom sessions, shared video files is where you will find the video of this session and the link to see it on YouTube if you're so inclined. All right. Okay. Well, listen, for everybody that started, most of you have started off great. I appreciate your time and effort, your diligence in meeting the first requirement. There's a couple of you that need to catch up, and I have no doubt you'll let me know. Certainly communicate as best you can. Don't let me have to hunt you down or have to speculate on why you're not submitting work. If there's a problem, let me know, and let's talk it out. Okay. All right. So I hope everybody has a good night and appreciate your attention. And we'll go ahead and end this session now.